the depth of character that I've written the main character to have. It is a coming of age story, the first part. It's in 3 parts. But it's so much more. We get to see stories from his life where he's trying to figure out how to solve problems, and he goes through trying to solve problems alone by himself to eventually realizing that a problem is best solved when you have a team and when you are asking for help, which that's something that I've taken a long time to figure out for myself. And I think a lot of other people, I know a lot of moms at least, who have the same quality where you want to try to tackle a problem by yourself, but really you're not using your abilities and your capabilities to the best that you could without someone to help you and to add to your capabilities.
Yeah, one of the things that I know you struggle most with is delegation. You're an extremely competent human being. You're extremely good at the things that you're doing, but you're not always as competent at working within a team or leading a team because you don't know how to delegate in the moment. I'm sure that your thought process goes in, I can do this more efficiently myself, I'm just going to do it myself. And while that works when there's just one thing, when there's numerous things that need to get done, when the checklist is 20 items long, even if you're more efficient at any one of them, you're not going to be as efficient as a team of individuals tackling a problem as you would. But it does mean you have to take time out to delegate, explain a task, and follow up, so much so that it often feels inefficient. It feels like you're losing competence when you're bringing in people who are less competent than you at a task.
But I have learned that even if you're super highly capable and you have this skill set that is rare, that no one else has, SEALs have this specific skill set that only SEALs have, and they can kind of be jacks of all trades in many ways. Even that person who comes from that small group needs teammates. They need to ask for help when they have a complex problem. Sure, a simple problem, they can handle it. But a complex problem where they're, all odds are against them, they need someone to help amplify their capability. A reader might like to know what they could come away with after reading When to Run is that it's not like a James Bond movie where Bond is doing everything by himself and he looks like he has help from Q, he has help from M, but he, in many ways in the movies, it shows like he's a one-man show.
He's the star forward.
Yes. In When to Run, you have this James Bond-like character, but he's not this solo actor the whole time.
He's learned to be more than that.
Yes, he's broken out from that and realized that I am better when I have more people bringing the things that I'm not so good at to the table.
What I learned as a SEAL was that if you bring competent people together who are actually focused on a unified objective, and it doesn't need to be specifically brought out, but if you have people working together on a unified objective, the more capable those people are, the more they can exponentially amplify the capabilities of those around them.
Yeah.
The idea of a force amplifier is often what special forces and SEALs are referred to as, but it's a obscure term that's used as marketing more often than it's actually thought about. And in reality, to be a force amplifier, you have to be aligned on that objective, or you at least have to have a parallel objective that it offers a win-win if you're going to work within a team.
When to Run is in many ways a motivational speech or a motivational self-help book, but in a way that you learn by going on the journey with the person who is having the hard times and struggling before he finds success.
I think we learn best from experience. And you told me early on that one of the things that you had as one of your special powers was that you were able to learn from others' experience. And that's something that I know that I'm not as strong at. I often have to make mistakes myself. I have to touch fire to know that it's hot. Whereas, and I think this is common with many women, they can watch somebody else get burned or just be told that it's hot to know. I'm not that kind of guy, but experience teaches. Stories are where those experiences truly get passed down and they last a lot longer. Aesop's fables and the Bible, Greek mythology, all of those elements are fables, have lessons embedded in them. Hans Christian Andersen stories, which are very dark, but they were meant to protect children at the time from very real dangers that existed 200 years ago.
Stranger danger. Don't talk to strangers.
Precisely.
Yeah. Don't go into a stranger's house.
But we learn from these stories. The experience is where we learn. Giving someone one single story, and ideally fire is hot, is one that we don't have to necessarily learn from as long of an experience.
Yeah.
Some people do, and scars to prove it, but others can learn those just from simple sayings. But the real life lessons, I don't find them in self-help books. I find them through experiential stories that people are willing to share and impart on others. And that's where true mentorship comes into play, and that's where my own life comes into play, and reflection.
Yeah, When to Run can also be, it can serve as that blueprint of a self-help blueprint, but in an enjoyable way, because you're seeing that Hank gets through things, and you don't have to have the same struggles as he does. Or if you are currently struggling like he was, you know that if you persevere, you can get through it. You can get it through anything.
You've written stories and backstories that may not be print-worthy, but you've written stories about every other character. While we follow the main character in the book, there's a companion book for every single other character. And some of it lives in your head, but most of it's on paper, because that's the only way you and I have been able to talk about it.
Yeah.
And the only way that we've really been able to collaborate is in what's going on with characters X, Y, Z.
At the beginning of part 2, you learn about one of the supporting characters. You learn about Hank's relationship with someone who he went through buds with. And during buds, they got to a point where they were buddies and they wanted to stick together. And Hank's buddy, this supporting character, he wanted to quit because Hell Week is hard and he didn't want to do it. Hank would not accept that, and he got him through Hell Week. And that really speaks to, not only does Hank learn that he can't be as capable and achieve a good outcome without the help of others, but he can be that help to others because he is capable of resolving issues as they come along.
Yeah, well, and he learns in that relationship over time that long-term objective alignment is just as important as being there in the moment. It's the strategy, and people will often think about what is strategy, what are tactics, and how do they meld together. Strategy to me is what we do when we're sitting around and the bullets aren't flying. Strategy is how you think about your long-term. Strategy can be applied in 2 seconds from now, or it can be applied in 20 years. But strategy is how you approach things. Tactics is what you actually do in the moment. And Hank goes from being extremely tactical to starting to develop strategy over time, rather than just being reactive and being very capable. It's a lot of what you see in Bond. Bond is mostly Bond's tactics. You see him be extremely capable in the moment. You can't surprise him. There's nothing that's going to happen that he isn't ready
He's
for.
thought about the contingencies.
And if he hasn't, he can roll with any punch you throw at him, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
He doesn't always show the forethought of how is this going to play? What are the consequences to my actions? The ripple that goes out in all directions, how is that going to affect the things that are north, south, east, and west? Yeah,
and sometimes Bond, you're comparing tactics to strategy. Sometimes Bond seems to not have a strategy.
Yeah.
He just acts. And he uses his tactics to react instead of having a plan ahead of time. Hank kind of learns that being strategic is a better idea than just having strong tactics. Another big action part of When to Run is when Hank is in combat. And during that time, it's kind of, his time is in a bubble, and everything that happens to him, he has to adapt. He has to learn how to be without a buddy. Strategy is a plan. Strategy is a plan with adaptations built into it. So you have your main, if all the conditions are met, you have your main strategy. But you've also thought about the contingency plans if A happens, if B happens, if C happens. Tactics are how you act in the moment and how you react in a moment. And
strategy applied.
Applying your strategy. And Hank learns how to do that in the book. And it's kind of the culmination of figuring that out when he's in combat. Mm-hmm. It's equally important to be strong strategically as it is in your tactical ability. And without one, or if you're weak in one, it doesn't work. You're not as strong. After you've read When to Run, you can see how important it is to be flexible and adaptable and to use your capability and to amplify it with someone else.